Alright, so hey guys, how's it going? I promised that I would get this screencast stuff going. Alright, and so what I'm going to do is I'm going to sort of walk you through what I was talking about in today's club meeting in actual code in TextPad. Alright, so first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open up TextPad, and I already have one open here, and I actually have it open to the parent.java file that I gave you guys. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to File New, alright, and so I come up with this new document right here. If you open up TextPad from scratch, it should just start with document 1. So next, I'm going to save as. I'm going to navigate to the folder that I want to save this in, and I'm going to go to. I have a computer programming club folder for this, and I'm going to name this person. Make sure the type is .java, and it'll save it there as person.java. Okay, so now if you look back into this parent.java that I gave you guys, I'm just going to copy and paste this over because it's easy, but basically I just like to have this header at the top of my class files. It makes it so that if you want to redistribute your code, then it's sort of a copyright kind of thing. But anyways, I would suggest doing this. I have it in comments. Notice these are all single line comments. I have the Alright, anyways. So I have the name of this file, which is person.java, my name, and okay, so I have this description of what the class does. That way, that's for your reference. I have my name here, I wrote it, and yeah. So the next thing I'm going to do is, and notice that I'm stealing a lot of this from the parent.java on Blackboard. I posted this to Blackboard a while ago. So notice this public class parent. So public class person. All right, that's what I'm going to start with. All right, so first I want to point out that public. The reason that it is public is because what I'm going to need this for later is I'm going to need to reference this object later. If I go through the trouble to make a person class so that I can use a person object, I need it public so that I can in fact use a person object later on. So now what? Well, now what we're going to do is make instance variables. So now what I need to figure out is, or what I need to think about is, what is an inherent property of a person? The first things that come to my mind are things like age, height, weight, gender. Okay. Now, so I have these variables that I'm going to be using, but we haven't declared them as types. So an age is a number, so I need int, and so is height and weight. Gender is an either or question. And I could handle this a couple of ways, but basically what I'm going to do is make a Boolean. Remember, number that's true or false and change gender to boy. That way I can say, is a boy true or false? And if false, then it's a girl. Alright, so, but here's the thing. I want the person, whoever that may be, that's utilizing this class file to use the methods that I'm going to give them to change these variables, because otherwise it's completely unmonitored. And I know in one of the PowerPoints that's on Blackboard, what I said, or what I related this to, is if I declare these as public, like this, public int age, then any other class file has the ability to change age, height, weight, or boy directly. What I want instead is to make them go through the methods that I give them. Reason being, it's kind of like, if they're public, if you do it like this, it's kind of like letting anyone at any time borrow any of your stuff without any way of knowing when they're going to give it back. But if I make it private, then the person utilizing the methods, or the person will have to utilize the methods in order to handle these variables. And that's kind of like having a sign-in, sign-out sheet to know who's got what and when they're giving it back. If that makes sense. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and make all of these private. All right, and remember, end each statement with a semicolon. All right, so now the first thing that I'm gonna do is create what I call, or what is called, a constructor. Okay, and the constructor is basically this. It's a method which gets called when I decide to set up a person. And the only way that I think this is going to make sense to you guys is if I break out of this this class file and show you what I'm talking about. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new document. I'm going to do the same thing and save as, and what I'm going to call it is person driver. And driver really just means I'm testing the person class file. Okay, I'm going to save it to the same place as a Java file. Okay, I'm going to go back here, do this whole setup deal. Alright, so now I'm going to set this up, public, public class person driver. Okay, now, alright, so let me just write this out real quick. Public static void main string args. Alright, if I compile and run this, it gives me this press any key to continue. But now, if we go to this and run it, then it says that there's an exception in thread main, no such method error main. And the reason is because it can't compile this, or it can't run this. It can compile, because this works. The tool completed successfully. Compile works, but I can't run it because there's no main method. This one will actually run. Okay, so going back to the constructor. Okay, what I want to do with this person.java is be able to now make a person object. So I want to be able to create a new person object in the same kind of way that I can say int a equals 5. Okay, so here's I've declared a new int, it's called a, and now it's equal to 5. Okay, well, with objects, instead of data types, int being a data type, it's a little bit of a different setup. And the way it works is I say person, which is the name of the class file, okay, that it needs to look for. Now I'm going to name it. So I called it int a. I'm going to call this person. I'm going to call this person a. Okay, and that's equal to a new person object. Okay, so right now it's going to create a new person object. This is what I need to be able to do. Okay, and a constructor is what lets me do that. Okay, it gives me the ability to set up the object, and the way that it works is I'm going to say public person. Okay, and so now this is a method for what I just said. It makes a, sorry, parentheses, but it makes a new person. I can leave this without anything in the parentheses and set up the data to initial starting points. So what I could do is say age equals 0, yeah, height equals 0, weight equals 0, and boy equals true. So until they change it, there's a boy with no height, no weight, and no age. Okay, so that means that when this happens, person A is a boy with no age, height, or weight. But now, if you think about this, that kind of doesn't make any sense. So what I'd rather do instead is have this have an ability when I declare this to initially set it up with an initial height, weight, and age, and tell it whether or not it's a boy or a girl. So what I'm going to do is in here. Remember, this is the setup. Okay, this is what sets up how this works. Okay, so if the coder in this instance wanted to tell the person class that it wants height, weight, and age, and tell it the gender, where in this statement could we put that? And the answer is inside the parentheses in what's called parameters. So if you think about this, what I'm going to do is say int, well actually, sorry, I'm going to pass in an age. I'm going to say 16, and I'm going to pass in a height, and I'm going to say, I'm going to use inches and just say 70 inches, and then I'm going to pass in a weight in pounds, and I'm just going to say this person is 145 pounds, and then they're a boy, so this is a brophy boy, I guess, and so boy, gender boy would be true. But see, this right here doesn't comply with this. So what we need to do is somehow transfer this over to here.